from the southeast. Even if you win, they will steal it from him. Let me tell you the strategy that will make the southeast man to be president. Do you know the southwest has never contested election against an incumbent? Strategy. Because they know in Nigeria, if you don't have the establishment supporting you, even if you win, they will steal it from you. Olufaleye say it was stolen from him. If you ask me,
how do you want to defeat that tendency in our political climate at the moment in 2027?
Now, it is a very easy thing if people will yield to strategy and not sentiment. Give Bola Tinubu his own style, his own strategy, and he's back to Bodilon. What did Bola Tinubu do in 2015? He went to the north, picked a man that he knows that all the northerners are in support. As at that time, Bola Tinubu wanted to be president because he said it's his lifetime ambition. But he knew that if he, as a southerner, tries to take out an incumbent southerner, he will fail. Because nobody has succeeded from the same section of the president, incumbent, to take out an incumbent president. He went to the north and brought a man that he knew that all the northerners are supporting. And when he brought him, any combination from the south took out Jonathan. And he bided his own time. And he came in later to become the president. That is strategy. If my own strategy this time around is that I am going to support a northerner in 2027.
Really?
Yes. And it must be my condition to the northerners. It must be a northerner that the whole north will be willing to support.
Like an Atiku.
If the whole north is willing to support an Atiku, why not?
Or a Tambuwal.
If the whole north is willing to support, why not?
Or an Erufai.
Good. The person must be qualified, must have experience, and if he has experience in the presidency, it's an added advantage. And when we put up anything from the south, that will push him through. Let me tell you.
But would that be fair? Would that be fair that there was an 8 years of Buhari,
good,
a 4 years, if the case is the way you have put it, of Bola Tinubu, and then now the South has not had a share of 8 years in the rotation understanding of Nigeria, politically speaking? Would that be a fair game?
Good. Thank you for this question. And let me use this opportunity to clarify.
That was Kenneth Okonkwo, one of the spokespersons of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council in the 2023 presidential election, who supported Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party at the time. He has finally come out to say what many had been expecting him to say, that he supports Atiku Abubakar instead of Peter Obi in 2027. And he has given reasons why he supports the power going back to the north. Barely 4 years after a return to the south, and to show that he was just struggling to justify injustifiable, because you cannot tell any reasonable Nigerian that after 8 years of President Muhammad Buhari, that power should stay only 4 years in the south and return back to the north. There's no excuse he can give that would justify that. More especially, there is nothing to show that Atiku Abubakar is more competent than Tinubu. There's nothing to show that Atiku Abubakar has more integrity than Tinubu, no matter how you look at it. Okay? Atiku Abubakar may have had the record of his academics right and all those, yes, but when it comes to the issue of the problem facing this country, Atiku Abubakar and Tinubu, they are no saints when it comes to the issue of corruption, which is the issue that has dragged this country down right from its foundation. Go and read Obasanjo's book, My Watch, and what he said about these two men when it comes to the issue of corruption. That should be your judge. Don't say that I was the one that told you in this channel. Just go and read Obasanjo's book, My Watch, and find out what he said about Tinubu and corruption, Atiku and corruption, and come back and tell us what you think. That being said, he said that even if a Southeast candidate wins, that they will steal it from him. Is he trying to tell us that the stealing of election is only affecting somebody from the Southeast? Atiku Abubakar was in the ballot in 2019. And in that election, it was believed that it was the PDP, which Atiku was the candidate, and Peter Obi the running mate, that won that election. It was stolen from him. What did he do? He ran away to Dubai, according to Bode George. That's what Bode George said, that he ran away to Dubai for his own safety, according to Bode George. So why didn't he stay and defend the vote? Since if you vote for him now in 2027, he can defend the vote. In 2023, it is widely believed that that election was rigged, and Atiku Abubakar challenged it, that it was rigged, and went to court. What else did he do? Didn't the whole matter end in the Supreme Court, just as Peter Obi's petition? So what kind of protection did he provide in his losses in 2019 and 2023 that made Kenneth Okonkwo believing that this time around he will protect the vote? It doesn't really follow. To be frank, there are things that will be done if they want to wrest power from Tinubu in 2027. And I will get to that later, but let us continue to look at the argument presented by Kenneth Okonkwo on why he is supporting a northern candidate, and Atiku in particular, because Atiku is the main man. Now let us go back to Kenneth Okonkwo's history with Atiku Abubakar in recent time. You know that shortly after he left Labour Party, in the heat of the crisis of Labour Party, Kenneth Okonkwo was everywhere on TV saying that Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Tinubu should not contest in 2027 election. That they are no longer needed, like they are spent force or something like that. That they should just give way for the younger generation to take over the political scene in 2027. Then, out of the blue, one day, I was going through the news, and I saw where Kenneth Okonkwo announced the meeting he had with Atiku Abubakar. He had a meeting with Atiku Abubakar where, after that, he tweeted that he had a meeting with His Excellency, the former Vice President, and that they had a fruitful discussion. Now, my interpretation at that time was that, does it mean that Kenneth Okonkwo has been able to convince Atiku Abubakar not to contest in 2027, because that would have been that it was a fruitful discussion, as he claimed that they had a fruitful discussion. Okay. It means that he had been able to convince him to drop his ambition. It turns out that it was the other way around. It was Atiku Abubakar that convinced Kenneth Okonkwo to Atiku's side, because since that time, he began to develop a different posture towards Peter Obi, because Atiku Abubakar knows that in 2027 his main rival is Peter Obi, so he went and poached somebody from the camp of Peter Obi to use against Peter Obi, so Kenneth Okonkwo is therefore doing a perfect job of what Atiku Abubakar wants. That's my interpretation, because there's no other way to look at it. Here is somebody who said Atiku should not contest, his term was gone, only for him to turn around to start praising him and castigating Peter Obi. It's easier to be able to decipher what went on there. So it is therefore what you saw him dancing around in this interview is basically to justify Atiku Abubakar, basically to stop the notion that power should rotate between North and South after every 8 years. So that's what it's all about. So he has to bring on all kinds of illogics to justify his argument. And one of the things he said there, he said the Southwest has never contested against an incumbent. That was not true. That was not true. That the Southwest, they have never contested against an incumbent. That was not true. I know that Chief Obafemi Awolowo, UPN, he contested against Shehu Shagari in 1983. They contested the transitional election in 1979, and he contested against him again in 1983. Okay, that was simple. Even when Obasanjo became democratically elected president in 1979, in 1999, in 2003, the only reason that no Southwesterner contested against, no Southwesterner of note contested against Obasanjo was that Obasanjo reached an agreement with the AD at that time that he will be there, they will accept his candidacy, which they rejected in the 1999 election. So that was it. So that idea that Southwesterners have never contested against an incumbent is not true. Okay, and then he claimed that the only thing that can defeat Tinubu is to use his own strategy against Tinubu. Tinubu's strategy against Tinubu. Okay, talk about that Tinubu went to the north and pick Buhari, who everybody in the north supports, and then from any section from the south will push him through. That's not true. It is true that Tinubu formed an alliance with Buhari and others at that time. So it wasn't that it was Tinubu's particular strategy, but it was a strategy that they used and it worked at that time, and it doesn't mean that it will work now. One, Atiku is not Buhari. Kenneth Okonkwo is not Tinubu. So what he said, he said his strategy, listen to him in that, you listen to him, he said his strategy, that's Kenneth Okonkwo's strategy now, is to go to the north and pick a candidate. Okay, he has picked Atiku Abubakar. Let us watch him and see who he's going to pull from the south to join him to support Atiku Abubakar. And it's also a myth to say that Atiku Abubakar has support like Buhari. Atiku Abubakar does not enjoy the kind of grassroots support that Buhari enjoyed. It got to the level that everybody took it for granted that Buhari has about 12 million votes in the north waiting for him. Whether that thing is real or imagined, given our history of INEC manipulation of election results, is another thing. But can Atiku have such magic number backing him? It's not possible, because Atiku is not Buhari. And there are many people in the north who cannot stand Atiku, and they work against him, including people like Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso and others. You think that the northern elite, they want Atiku to come and take power, when they know that if they are patient, in 2031, many of them can get the presidency. So it's not as simple as Kenneth Okonkwo wants us to believe. It is not as simple as that. And he said that a candidate from the zone of the president cannot defeat the president, an incumbent. Okay, but Atiku Abubakar defeated Buhari when he contested with Peter Obi, but the election was rigged. So what stopped Tinubu from rigging the election again? If Tinubu can allegedly rig the election in 2023, when he was not president, we all know that even Buhari didn't want Tinubu to be the presidential candidate of the APC. Yes, Buhari preferred Ahmad Lawal, the Senate president at that time, to be the candidate of the party. And that was an indication that Buhari has no respect for the rotation of power across Nigeria. It was people like former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, that revolted alongside with some other governors in the north. That was how Tinubu was able to maneuver his way. So if Tinubu can maneuver his way and emerge APC candidate in 2023, and if, despite emerging that, and Buhari didn't give him support, even though Buhari voted and displayed his vote to show that he voted for Tinubu in that election, but it was a half-hearted measure. Because at the end of the day, even Buhari could not deliver Katsina State for Tinubu. Yet, Tinubu has had more influence in INEC than Buhari. Because if Buhari had influence in INEC and other things, perhaps he wouldn't have loved Tinubu to be the one that will win the election. But like Amechi pointed out in an interview shortly after that election, that Tinubu has his men in INEC, that the INEC chairman was sympathetic to Tinubu's agenda, and that it was Tinubu that helped in facilitating his emergence as INEC chairman. That was what Amechi alleged in one of his videos, in one of the interviews. So if Tinubu could go all this to be able to emerge despite antagonism from Buhari and others, now that he is the incumbent president, what makes Kenneth Okonkwo think that Tinubu will give up power just because Atiku has support of, let us assume without considering that he has the support of all the Northerners. What made you think that Tinubu will give up the mandate, give up that seat easily without rigging the election or doing something to ensure that he remains there? So the only thing that could have made sense in the whole thing he was talking about is to ensure that the votes are not rigged. And that means you need to work on the Electoral Act. You need to remove all those loopholes that APC will capitalize to rig the election in 2027. That would have made more sense. If you remove those loopholes, Peter Obi will defeat Tinubu or any other candidate in 2027 election. If it is going to be one man, one vote, in line with democratic ideals, Peter Obi will win. He will beat Atiku Abubakar. He will beat Bola Tinubu, hands down, like we did in 2023, which Kenneth Okonkwo himself admitted that Peter Obi won 2023 election. He admitted it in that interview. So he can do it again. That's the only protection you can give to the votes. Electronic transmission of results. Electronic voting and transmission. And then, as I keep saying, have the political parties agents at the back end of the INEC situation room. INEC cannot be allowed to be the only people in the back end because INEC is a federal institution. So political parties must have their ICT agents working with INEC at the back end to ensure that there is no manipulation of the electoral process. When you put all these safeguards in place, before 12 noon on election day, Tinubu will be going back to Boledan. If he got third place, he will thank God, as Malam Nasir El-Rufai pointed out recently, that Tinubu will be lucky to get third position in 2027 if the election is free and fair. I stand with El-Rufai on that analysis. That position of El-Rufai is far more credible than this Jundi's analysis by Kenneth Okonkwo in justifying his reason for supporting a northern candidate and Atiku Abubakar in particular in 2027. I don't know what to think about Kenneth Okonkwo's reasons for supporting a northern candidate and Atiku Abubakar in particular in 2027. But whatever is your position, let's hear from you at the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.